everybody. Hopefully you guys are all enjoying this wonderful weather today. It started out a little bit cloudy, but kind of picked up and got sunnier. So hopefully you guys will enjoy maybe going outside, playing some sports, or hanging out with friends, or maybe even playing some soccer. So hopefully you guys are playing a sport for the love of the sport, and not because you hate the other team. And win or lose, regardless, you shouldn't fight, and you should not start a war over a game. So now you're probably wondering, what does soccer and war have anything to do with each other? When in fact, it was in my father's own country of El Salvador that these two ideas met. According to Kennedy Hickman, a military historian for About.com, in 1969, 13,000 Honduran men clashed with over 20,000 El Salvadorian men in a 4-day battle following the 1970 FIFA World Cup qualifiers, which came to be known as the Fútball War. Today I will be talking about the immigration issues, the land reform laws, combined with the World Cup games that sparked the Fútbol War. So first, let's explore how the two nations' immigrants conflicted with each other before the war. So Honduras is more than 5 times the size of El Salvador, and during the time, El Salvador had a population that was more than double that of Honduras. Much of the land that was owned in Honduras was owned by farming corporations such as coffee companies, which provided a lot of jobs for the lower class citizens. So this attracted lots of El Salvadorians to migrate to Honduras so that they could afford a better life. And according to the U.S. Library of Congress at countrystudies.us, by late 1960s, these Salvadorians constituted 12% or more of Honduran population. Of these 12%, many of them were illegal and staying in Honduras such that they could make a better living for themselves. Honduran government targeted these Salvadorian immigrants as the main obstacle to their land reform. And during this time, Hondurans had a kind of a hate towards Salvadorians, so they would show it and violence was starting to escalate. So now that we've explored how the immigration issues led to war, let's explore how land reform laws led to the war and the conflict. So with so many Salvadorians in Honduran land, Hondurans decided to push a new land reform law, and this law was fully enforced by 1967. Which redistributed land owned illegally by Salvadorians and gave it back to the native-born Hondurans. Under this law, regardless of your immigration status, over 130,000 Salvadorian laborers were forced to leave and return to El Salvador. So regardless of whether you were 100% El Salvadorian or just married to one, you were forced to go back to your homeland. And this also created a lot of tension between the two countries. So after the immigration issues and the land reform laws, the next big thing was the big game. So in 1970, there was a World Cup qualifying match, and it happened to be between El Salvador and Honduras. According to Colin M. Snyder, a historian for WordPress.com, the matches between the two came to take on a titanic symbolic importance in which the game showed each country's assertion of superiority over the other. In the first match, Honduras showed how they felt about El Salvador, and in their hometown of Tegucigalpa, won 1-0 on June 8, 1969. Even more intense than the game was the violence that preceded, during, before, and after the game. 1 week later, on June 15th, round 2 was set in San Salvador, the capital of El Salvador, where El Salvador came out strong with a 3-0 win over Honduras. As a result, there was even more violence that escalated until on June 26th, the two countries met on the field for a final time in Mexico City, where El Salvador won 3-2 in extra time. So this final match not only pushed El Salvador into the World Cup series for the first time in the country's history, but it also pushed the Salvadorian government to sever all ties with Honduras. Salvador's leader, Fidel Hernandez, stated that the government of Honduras has not taken any effective measures to punish these crimes, which constitute genocide, nor has it given assurances or indemnification or reparations for the damages caused to the Salvadorians. So following the immigration conflict, land reform, and the World Cup games was what the world came to be known as the Fútbol War. So only 2 weeks later, El Salvador declared war on Honduras, and on July 14, 1969, they made the first strike as they bombed key areas of Honduras and began the invasion. Only 100 hours into the war, after about 3,000 deaths on both sides, and over 300,000 refugee Salvadorians, Osvaldo Arellano of Honduras promised Fidel Hernandez safety and reparations for all Salvadorians, thus ending what came to be known as the Fútbol War. So today, the Football War is a distant memory to those who even know that the event happened. In stressful times like this, with countries like North Korea and Russia looming over the United States, you never know what can happen even after a simple game.